I'm Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, which is one of the tribes that is suing the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for both DAPL and Keystone. I'm also Hidatsa, which is part of the Mandan Hidatsa Rikara, and we're an oil tribe, so we're actually benefiting from DAPL, which goes to show you that Indian country is not all the same. Lots of us, we have kind of opted into the system about money and all that. It's hard to turn down money on the table in the form of oil. So I was at Standing Rock for a total of 6 hours. I came here, I came to this divestment issue when I saw Seattle move to divest. They haven't yet divested. Move to divest $3 billion from Wells Fargo, which is the bank that they entrust with their city cash flow every year. For us in San Francisco, it's not Wells Fargo, it's actually Bank of America. And we have $10 billion. We got the city to move towards divestment. They kicked the football to the city treasurer. It's pretty hard to move $10 billion, as you can imagine. You have to find a bank that's big enough and that doesn't depend on pipelines for its profits. In this day and age, it's pretty hard. There's about 10 banks in San Francisco that may be able to be big enough to handle $10 billion. What happens is they actually need a couple $100 million in assets in order to take on the city's cash flow. I can go into all those technical details, but the status of DAPL right now. So when I saw that news on December 4th about the Army Corps denying the permit, I was in Oakland, and I saw it on Twitter, and I wasn't happy about it. I knew I was like, we've been screwed over so many times. You can Google how many times, but Treaty of Fort Laramie is the one that's being violated. It was created in 1851, and it encompasses different Lakota Sioux tribes and Dakota tribes, and the land does not fit squarely within either North Dakota or South Dakota. It's actually kind of like a mix. It's a huge, huge piece of land. It encompasses the Black Hills, which is the source of our creation story. Yeah, these pipelines cross this treaty, and treaties are, according to Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, the supreme law of the land. I'm not even making that up. People think it's like, that must be some protest rhetoric, but it's not. That's actually in the Constitution. You can look it up. But it's not profitable to bring up Indigenous history, to bring up Indigenous rights, because that stuff is really depressing, right? And it implicates all of us who are, even right now, we're on a lonely land. This peninsula was not called San Francisco in, 1800? It was YELAMU. And the city of San Francisco, a few years back, created a report from a person who works in the Human Rights Commission, and it's called Discrimination by Omission. So that report detailed San Francisco's pretty negligent relationship with the Ohlone people here, going from nothing about the Ohlone people in school curriculum, really, it's completely off the table. But that brings up the point about, someone was talking about solidarity earlier, and what I'm noticing, I'm 22 years old, and I really like Netflix, so I'd much rather be watching Netflix than Googling what banks are involved with Dakota Access Pipeline and Keystone Pipeline. But here we are, and there's a clear need for Indigenous people to be at the forefront of these. The thing is, we're 1% of the population. We can't be everywhere. We can't be at every single protest. We can't be at every single action. We can't give the Indigenous stamp, and you can't ask all the elders to give their input. Lots of different thoughts about how to proceed with these pipelines, with climate justice, with indigenous rights. There are as many opinions on this within Indian country as there are people. So I just wanted to note that and make it known that we can't be everywhere, and it's kind of incumbent upon our allies and our friends to educate themselves about these treaties, about Indigenous rights in general, about their local tribes. I for sure know I didn't know anything about the YELAMU people before 2 months ago. With these pipelines, there's, I think, 3 ways to stop them. One's in the courts, one is on the ground, and that's one of the most important ones, putting people's bodies on the lines, and allies as well, to stop these pipelines physically. So standing in front of a bulldozer, arresting yourself to a bulldozer or a drill or whatever. And then there's the money, which is what I do. I follow the money. I Googled the SEC filings, and actually Dr. Hugh McMillan at Food and Water Watch has this really neat infographic that shows all the different funding streams to the Dakota Access Pipeline, and 17 of the 21 banks financing the Trans-Canada Corporation building Keystone. 17 of those 21 banks also finance that. So largely the same thing, people, same actors. I'm sure you all know how bad the big banks are, so I don't have to convince you all, but there's no magic to this, and like advocating for indigenous rights or advocating for breaking up with big banks. The info's all out there, and I've been involved with the San Francisco Defund DAPA Coalition, which is really just a Facebook group I created in February, and it just kind of drew people who care about this and who wanted to plug in locally. We got the Board of Supervisors that I said earlier to move towards divestment. It didn't take, thank goodness, yet any really risky direct action. Today we did a march today around Keystone, and that was literally just 2 dozen of us having a huge banner and having some poles and